Hang on, something's going on here.
It's
Okay.
me. It's me. I
Music's
was trying to share this to my Facebook so people can join us.
okay. Yeah, that was interesting. My intro tried to start back up again. So good morning, all of you beautiful sovereign beings of light. Welcome back to the show. Today I have my good friend, not longtime friend, although possibly many lifetimes friend.
Mhm.
Kimberly and I have known each other for a couple of years, and we talk, I don't know, almost every day, every couple of days.
Yeah,
Behind the
definitely.
scenes, sometimes on the phone, sometimes through Messenger. And so we just decided today to jump on and have one of our conversations. Uh, for those of you who are new to my show, I do not do interviews. I do conversations. And Kimberly are going to have a conversation about something that she and I are both very passionate about. And that is the importance of self-love. And it's more than a lot of people think it is. And it is by no means arrogance. So we might talk about the difference between loving yourself and arrogance. They're actually two complete opposites. Before we get into the conversation, I wanted to let all of you know I have another free book. So on my website, I've had Rise Up. It's been there for free for a couple of years. The autoresponder is not working, but I did write another free book a couple of months ago that I'm just going to start making available as of today. It's been sitting there on my computer serving no purpose. And this book is all about self-love. So it's appropriate that we're having this conversation today about self-love. So if you would like that free book, if you go to my website at victoriareynolds.com and go to the contact page and send me a message that says, hey, I'd like your free book about self-love, then I will email it to you. It's the ebook. So I wanted to let you know about that. There's actually an entire program that goes with it, but my web guy hasn't set it up yet. And actually, he's kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. So I'm stuck with an entire product line that I don't know how to launch because this person I paid to launch it for me has disappeared, as people seem to be doing these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. They're disappearing.
Disappearing.
I should laugh about it actually, but it's kind of weird and sad and creepy and all kinds of emotions wrapped up into one. But yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's very frustrating. So I do need to find somebody else who can help fix my website for me. I have so many things I need to do, and I need to figure out how to get a team to help me do it.
I'm in the same boat as you. I had a person working on my website and she literally vanished, and I need a lot of help because I don't know how to I develop a website or change a website or add to a web. I don't know anything about website stuff, and I need somebody to help, but I don't have like dollars to go hire a professional company, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do.
I have a completely opposite issue. My issue is I know how to do all of it, and it ends up completely consuming my time instead of doing my soul's work.
Right. Well, that too.
My job on the planet to design my website and all that. Yeah. So for me, it's someone taking all of that off the plate so that I can focus on doing my soul work, which is like you, which is being a messenger. Right? We're here to bring these messages of light and truth and love to humanity. And so one of the things I know we're going to be talking about today that I'm just kind of feeling guided to start off this way is to let people know that Kimberly and I are not part of the so-called truther community.
Nope.
We are part of the spiritual community.
Yes.
And the spiritual community extends across all so-called divisions. Mm-hmm. We don't do labels. We don't do divisiveness. We don't focus on politics. Our entire purpose is to remind humanity of the true loving essence that we all are, and how to come back into that true loving essence. Because when we start to remember who we are, that is actually how we change the world. We're not going to change the world by externally being angry and resentful and judgmental and giving all of our time and energy to someone, to anyone outside of us. This is different than being compassionate. I mean, we can expend some of our energy to people outside of us, but the important thing to understand is that we need to fill our cup first. And that's part of what it means to love yourself. If you imagine trying to give to someone else from an empty cup, you cannot. So if you're going through life being depleted and not having this beautiful, loving relationship with yourself, you can't possibly give to others from what you don't have. That took me forever to understand. So Kimberly, and for all of you watching, this concept of self-love came to me in my early 20s. So I've had many awakening experiences throughout my lifetime. I had a big one in my 20s. And that's when I discovered my spiritual path. I let go of religion and went down a spiritual path, which eventually actually led to atheism. And then I had to come back on my spiritual path. But one of the first things I was told was to have a loving relationship with yourself. Just learn to love yourself. I was at a point in my life where I despised myself. I couldn't even grasp the concept of liking myself, let alone loving myself. So I've had to go through this journey of figuring out what self-love actually is. And the one thing that I want to impart more than anything else is that self-love is the opposite of arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have people out there saying, oh, that person loves themselves so much. They think that they are just the best. They are there, right?
Well, that's a different type, though, of self-love, though.
That's
There's a difference
self-love.
between being an egomaniac and thinking that they're like God's gift to woman, or if they're a woman that they're just, you know, that every man on the planet thinks they're just a goddess who wants to have sex with them. You know, that's just ego. That's just a big inflated ego. And that is the kind of self-love that, oh, I love myself. I'm so perfect. Oh, that's a totally different type of
It's
self-love.
not love.
That's not the love we're talking about. That's ego. So ego and love are two totally different things.
That's right. Yeah. That actually is not love. When people have those attitudes about themselves, it's usually because there's something that's missing. It's because they don't have a loving relationship with themselves. So they have to overcompensate with this ego. When you have a true, genuine, loving relationship with yourself, there's no ego at all.
Oh, I find out, you know what I found out, Victoria, is over the years I've learned that all of the people in my life who have been like that, where they think they're better than everyone else, smarter, prettier, more important than everyone else, at the very root cause of their issue is actually very low self-esteem.
That's right.
And I'm not even going to mention the names of the people in my life who I know this about, but I happen to know certain people in my life who have extremely low self-esteem, and how they overcompensate is, I know more than you. I know everything. I'm the God of all information. And, you know, and it's like, and then they try to, you know, act like they're smarter than me, better than me, you know, and I don't do that to other humans. I think I'm equal to all my brothers and sisters on earth. And I only know a tiny bit of amount of information compared to the information in the universe. I mean, I know a smidgen, like what I know is probably smaller than a grain of sand because there's so much information on earth. And yeah, I'm an expert on certain subjects, but those subjects are only 1/1,000,000% of what all the information is that's out there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. And I'm kind of going back to when I was in my early 20s, when I actually very much disliked myself. And I did have an arrogance about me, not necessarily around other people, but I would go back to the cult I grew up in. I was like, man, I am so much better than all of you. I left, I'm going to college. And I did, you know, it's funny. I look back at being 20 years old, and think, I was a pain in the butt. But all of that wasn't to impress anybody else. It was really to try to bolster myself up because I felt so bad about myself. I had to constantly talk about myself to make myself feel better because there was nothing in my life that I was really proud of. I had been sexually assaulted numerous times as a child. I had, dropped out of high school for sexual assault reasons. I had no education. I grew up in this little teeny tiny town, well, actually a commune. So when people, I laugh, I'm like, you want to know how communism works? Ask me, because I grew up in a commune and we practiced communism. I can tell you exactly how it works from personal experience. So, and I grew up with all of these just deep, fear-based beliefs about that belittled women and made me feel so worthless as a human being that I had to constantly talk about myself just to even keep from committing suicide. That's how bad the self-loathing was. So on the outside, I might have appeared to other people being arrogant, but it was really because I had no self-esteem. And so I think it's really important when we look at people who do have all this, the word I'm hearing is braggadocious. I don't even know that word. That it's usually because something happened to them when they were little.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you just triggered me big time. And I had to write a note because I'm writing this book about Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and I have a whole first chapter about the Essenes. I just want to say thank you, sister, for triggering me because you reminded me something important I left out of my chapter on the Essenes, and that is the fact that women and men were equals and that women were in leadership roles in the Essene commune. Now that was a commune, but it wasn't the kind of commune that you grew up in. It was the total opposite. It was a commune of love, compassion, and kindness, and brotherhood, and sisterhood, and oneness, and unity consciousness. It was basically a 5D community. It was an example of what a 5D community looks like. And the women were equal to the men. They weren't raped and they weren't abused sexually. They were revered and they were cherished. And the women were priestesses, just like the men were. And so anyway, so you trigger me because I left that out of my chapter. I wrote that chapter. I'm on chapter 5 right now, and I moved right on along, and I forgot that whole part about the women thing. So thank you for triggering me.
You're welcome. Yeah, and that's so important for people to understand. I was sharing with someone the other day, the term woman means womb of man. Yeah. So women have been used for their womb since the beginning of forever. And that is and I grew up with the belief that my only value was in my womb. So when I left this commune, I was 17 years old, I ran away from home. I had no worth. I had no value. I had no, I had been raped. Like that means you have no value, right? So awful. And so I had to lift myself up. So that's when I discovered self-help books. And that's when I discovered this concept of self-love. And I was like, okay, I can work on self-like. Let's start there. Mm-hmm. So I did spend about the next 5 years learning how to like myself. And then it took much longer for me to understand self-love. Yeah. And it is self-care, but it's also about learning how to love the divine being that we all are. Yeah. And that's when you really start to understand what that is and what that feels like, then any concept of anything that's not love starts to just melt away. So we had talked earlier about self. So for me, self-love is self-everything, right? Self-honor, self-respect, self-care, self-respect, self-trust. It's all about this relationship with the self. And it's self with a capital S, if that helps people understand. Mm-hmm. The arrogance is yourself with like a small s, right? I love myself. Well, there's something different when you say, I love myself, right? So why don't you share what we were talking about a little bit before about the self-care and how a lot of people are so obsessed with external events and external attention that they're not going within themselves, and how draining that is to the relationship with the self.
Yeah, so I need to first mention the channeled message I got from Creator the morning after another stolen, fraudulent election. And so basically I was really upset because I realized that they've known, about this stuff for years and years, and they still haven't shut it down, and they did it again. So I'm sitting here going, okay, this is worthless. I'm not dealing anymore with the world. I can't handle the world anymore. So then I get this message from Creator, and the message was, Kimberly, it's not about the outer world, it's about the inner world. Go within and take care of self, and basically connect. I need to be more focused on connecting and everybody else, because he told me I need to share this with everybody. The same thing. Okay, everybody needs to do this. Right now, all of my clients, all of my friends that I know, I shouldn't say all my friends, but some of my friends and all my clients have all been worried for the last 3 years or 4 years about all these external things. When's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? When's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? Over and over. And that's all the focus is. And we're watching this puppet show going on, in the world, and all these awful things happening and stuff. And instead of taking care of the self, and what's happening is all of these clients that are coming to me have just head to toe illness, sickness, health issues, cancers, heart problems, musculoskeletal problems, digestive. The biggest one I'm seeing with everyone, a common denominator these days, is digestive system problems. That's all the solar plexus. What does that have to do with? Self-love, because your solar plexus is your confidence powerhouse. Low self-esteem, fear. We store all of our fear, self-loathing. When people abuse you, when people mistreat you, when people put you down, when people are mean to you, nasty you, call you a name, bully you when you've been bullied, all of that goes into your solar plexus and it stays there. And what does it do? It festers a wound that causes problems in your physical body, which is stomach issues, intestinal issues, gallbladder, liver issues, kidney issues, because you can store fear and anger in your kidneys. Adrenals is a big thing. A lot of people with adrenal issues and high blood pressure, thyroid disease. Almost everybody I meet everywhere has got a thyroid issue. I'm even working on that. I've got low thyroid, so I'm like trying to speed up my metabolism is slow. So I'm putting on weight like no tomorrow, and it's not coming off. And this is an issue a lot of my clients have. And what the Creator shared with me is that everybody, he said, Kimberly, everybody is so focused on the outer world of this holographic matrix. They're so stuck in what's going on in the matrix that they're not going into themselves and into their own Holy Spirit and into their own, because your body, mind, and spirit is all one. It's all one connected thing. But there's this big disconnect, and the disconnect has been created by this matrix society that we live in, by the dark controllers. They've made it so people are separated from their body. And a good example of this is stories that I've heard for years of all these women who one day they go to the bathroom and they deliver a baby in the toilet, and they never knew they were even pregnant. They're just fat. They're really big and fat, and they had a baby. I had 2 babies inside of me, and damn it, I knew from the minute I got pregnant with them that I was pregnant, because I was having all sorts of issues going on in my body. Okay, I was, nauseated for 3 months in a row with my daughter, and, I had all kinds of stuff going on. I could feel something moving around. I mean, my kids were active, they were how could you not feel a child moving inside your body unless it's dead? It's just,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what causes these kind of things, or people who find out they have stage 4 cancer. How did they not know they had it when it was stage 1? I can tell you how, because there's a disconnect from the body, mind, and spirit connection. Because I'm a medical intuitive, and I'm especially intuitive about what's happening in my body 24/7. I know when a weird pain I'm having in my arm is a nerve versus the pain in my arm is a muscle spasm. I know all these things, and I've taken the time to study for 37 years all about the systems of the body, how to heal the body with nutrition, naturopathy, homeopathy, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, all these different types of things. Energy medicine. I've taken every energy medicine training, any energy healing training known to man, just about. I've taken the time to learn about my body and keep my body connected. I'm a certified meditation and mindfulness instructor. And that all came about because of my health issues, because I needed to be able to go within and connect everything together. after I had my children and my whole body fell apart after having two babies, I had to learn how to be a meditator and to connect everything together. And so all of these people are coming to me and they're riddled with issues. And the first thing they admit to me is, I haven't been taking good care of myself lately. That's the first thing they say. They say that I haven't been taking good care of myself. I admit it. And I'm like, okay, well, now what are we going to do to change that? Because if you don't take care of you, who else is going to take care of you? Nobody's going to come out of the sky. Everybody is focused on not only the external world, but Creator also said everybody is so worried about other people fixing their problems.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy named that, lives in a big place in Florida is going to come save my problem. Some, military organization is going to come save my problem. Some medical whatever is going to come save my problem. Some med bed thing that they talk about, those med beds, we may never ever see those in our lifetime, just so you know. They may never even be a thing. Okay, that is a possibility. They're not anywhere around on the earth now. I have a friend who did 2 of those 30 and backs with the SSP, the Secret Space Program. She worked on med beds on Mars or the moon, Ileana, the star traveler, and she says we're not getting those things for at least 100 years because they belong to interplanetary corporation owns them, and they're not giving them to humans. They use them on super soldiers only. That's all they use them for, and they will not give them to humans. That's what she said. So people are sitting around waiting for those things to come save them. Oh, I'll just sit here and flounder with my cancer and let it fester because someday a med bed's going to rescue me. No, you go and you get treatments. There are so many plant medicines in the world to heal your body. There are so many there's energy medicine that can heal. I've seen so many miracles. I've seen people who were given 2 weeks to live, who not only completely reversed their cancer, but they're going to have another 40, 50, years or more on the earth because they went and they either did energy work or they did detox. There's a detox product that I use and that I tell my clients about. And I was able to get rid of fibroid tumors in my uterus that were big, giant banana size, huge fibroid tumors, just doing a detox. There's all of these things you can do, but nobody wants to take any action with their self-care. They want to sit around and bitch and complain about, I'm sick, I have this problem, I have that problem, and somebody's going to come rescue me. No, 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 no. That's not the way it works. You have to take care of yourself every day. Go get massages if your muscles hurt, and even if they don't, for stress. I wrote this book. I don't know if you've ever read my book, Victoria, The Real Fountain of Youth, an intro to the peace stress management system. But this is it's physical, emotional, chemical, and environmental stress, because 98% of illness is caused by emotional stresses. So all of these people that have been suffering with trauma over the world situation for the last 4 years now or more are developing all of these health issues because they're traumatized. They lost their loved ones. They weren't able to say goodbye because their loved one was isolated in the ICU or wherever, and they wouldn't let people come, visit. I lost my mother-in-law at the beginning of the plague, and then I lost my brother, was killed by basically big pharma last October. My baby brother, and he's my only sibling. And the thing is that all of these people are getting made sick and dying because of all the stress in the world. The world is just like overwhelmed with stress. And then you have people who are disconnecting from their body, mind, and spirit, and they don't even know what's going on in their body. Like, they're just not even aware of all the crap going on inside their body. And then they're not doing any self-care. They're not eating a nutritionally healthy diet, like a Mediterranean diet, or what I call an anti-inflammatory diet, because inflammation is like the root of almost every illness. After stress, it's stress, and then you get an inflammatory response from the stress, and it affects all your cells and your mitochondria, and then boom, you get illness. Okay. Right. So they're not eating the proper diet. They're vitamin deficient because the soils in the United States of America have been farmed improperly for a long time because of the cabal. They've done that because they're trying to destroy the food supply and make us sick. This is all a big Rockefeller, thing to make everyone sick. in America, they put poison in the air, poison in the water, poison in the food to kill us off and sell us millions and millions and billions of dollars of drugs to keep us, keep you band-aided. They're just a band-aid. They have hundreds of side effects, but they're just a band-aid. But people are not doing the proper things to care for their body, their corpse, their corpse body. They're not doing anything to take care of it. They're not doing the diet. They're not drinking enough water. They're not moving their body. I have so many people in my life who just sit on their butt every day and don't do anything and bitch and complain about this hurts, that hurts, da 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 da. Well, yeah, I'm complaining too, but I'm actually doing something about it though. I am exercising every day. Yesterday I walked on the treadmill, and then I lifted some small, weights, and I did some calisthenic kind of exercises. Every day I'm doing something. I do Pilates, I do Qigong, I do yoga, stretching, walking. I love hiking, I love riding my bike. I try to keep my body moving. I take my vitamins and supplements every day that are anti-aging. I've done tons of research into what to take for anti-aging. And I take all those things. I take the heart stuff to keep my heart strong, and the anti-inflammatory stuff like curcumin to keep the inflammation levels down. I'm constantly work really hard at taking care of my body so it won't fall apart, knowing that I'm being bombarded with chemtrails and, medicines and poison food and poison water. I'm getting bombarded with all this every day. And so is every person in the world, right? We're all getting bombarded. And I have stress in my life, just like everyone else. I have emotional stress. We all do. And I'm doing something about it. I'm meditating. I'm going to a shrink, once a week to talk out my frustrations with the world, and I'm taking care of self. But I'm looking at my clients, looking at a lot of my friends, and they're not doing anything at all, or very little. Like the ones who are doing stuff are doing very little. And most of them are just not doing anything. And they're all worried and freaking out about, oh, so-and-so said this on this video, and so-and-so said that on that video, and the shape of the planet, and oh, now it's the blood type. I don't know if you saw my little rant on Facebook about the blood type. The blood type is another psyop created to separate and divide us. I'm better than you because I have this specific blood type. Or, oh, everybody who has a negative RH is a descendant of Jesus. What a bunch of crap that is. There's only 92 people on planet Earth that are descendant from Christ. And I'm not going to tell anybody who they are or where they are, because I'm not even being told for my safety and their safety. So right. There's 92. Basically, he told me, and when I say he, I'm saying Yeshua, he said 92 descendants. I'm not allowed to know where they are, and they will never tell me because it would be detrimental to me. Because if the dark ones knew that I knew, then they're going to come pick me up and try to MK Ultra me or whatever to get the information. Where are these, descendants of Christ, so they can go and whack them, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm never going to be told where they are. So don't even ask me. Don't even ask. It's not, but there's people who are spreading on the internet these lies that everybody who has RH negative is a descendant of Jesus's bloodline. It's like, you got to be freaking kidding me. I just laugh. Like, I literally, how they talk about
that's like billions of people.
Yeah, billions of people. Yeah, billions of people have RH negative. Billions have RH negative. So basically everything think about this. He's only been on the planet 2,000 years, right? I mean, in his body, in that bloodline, he was here 2,000 years. How in the hell would that be possible to create billions of people in 2,000 years out of one person or two people, him and Mary Magdalene? It's like, it's not happening. Well, I can't even do math.
And not only that, but there was a huge bottleneck of humanity during the Black Plague, where most, 2/3 of humanity was lost. So
yeah, they died.
They would have to have survived through that thin little bottleneck that occurred in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way it's that many people.
Yeah, and so this all boils down to this whole thing that people are paying attention to all these psyops that are out there, and they're focusing on it. Like, I'm literally observing, like a scientist, studying people's behavior, and I'm watching how people are overreacting and getting all into it, and it's like a soap opera. I don't know if you or anyone in your family did this, but my grandmother and my mom were really addicted to soap operas back in like the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s. They were addicted to soap operas. They had to watch their every minute, and oh, did you hear that Lucy got a divorce? And they're like talking about these people in this, soap opera. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't watch any of it. I don't have the time. I watched them for a couple of years when I was really young, when I was a teenager, but then I never watched them again after that. I didn't have the time. I was too busy working. So people are getting obsessed with this stuff happening, like all of these truthers, the truther community that's out there talking about, oh, the money, the financial system and the QFS and the this and the that, and they're getting all caught up in that, and they're spending so much time that it's becoming like an addiction, just like the internet, and just like Facebook, or crackbook as I call it, is an addiction. People have a crackbook addiction where they're on crackbook 24/7. They got to check all of their wall and all the people posting, and it's just on and on and on and on. And I've been guilty of that myself, by the way, getting on there and looking at Facebook, and we're all guilty of it in some way. So I'm not going to say that I'm separate from that group. Okay, I'm part of that addicted to Facebook group. I'm trying to break it. But the thing is that you have to separate yourself from all the bullshit going on in the world, and that is what the creator was telling me, not Yeshua. I actually got this message from source. Let go. It was let go of the outer world and focus on the inner world. Stop paying attention to it. Stop giving it your energy. Stop putting your attention on it and your focus on it, and start taking care of self, going within and connecting with him, her, source. I should say it, because prime creator is mother, father, God. It's an it.
Right.
Start connecting with source. Start connecting with your soul, your inner Holy Spirit, that's also called your higher self. Your higher self is that version of you that knows everything about space and time and dimension, that version of you that you as a human body want to become. That's your higher self. That's your Holy Spirit. Connecting with your Holy Spirit, connecting to your team, connecting to your guides and angels, connecting with Christ, if that's what you want to do, or Buddha, or whoever your ascended master that you resonate with is. If you're from India, maybe you're resonating with Saraswati or Kali or Lakshmi or Shiva or somebody like that. If you're from China, maybe you're really, connected to Kuan Yin, or somebody like that. So connecting with your guides, with your monads, with all these people, and going within and doing self-care. That is what we need to be doing now. We all need to be doing now. Has anyone's internet been cutting out lately? Somebody asked a question, if anybody's internet's been cutting out a lot lately. Yes, mine has.
Yeah,
Mine cuts out a lot. Yeah, absolutely. That is a problem. And my cell phone. We've noticed, I don't know, Victoria, if you've had this issue, but lately we noticed we have entire like hours or periods of time where we have no bars on our cell phone. Like all of a sudden I have 3 bars right now on my cell phone, but I will have days where like the whole day I have nothing, no bars on my cell phone at my house.
Yeah, I haven't run into that, but it's probably because I have a cell tower every 50 feet here in Southern California.
Well, we have one too. We have one right in our neighborhood here, a big, huge one, and we've got 5Gs and all that kind of stuff around here. They're doing something. Something's going on. What's going on? I don't know, but I know that something's going on, because it never used to be this way. And I will like literally go all day where it'll say 0 bars. Yeah, there's something going on.
I haven't run into that, but I have had issues with the internet lately. The last show I did, actually not the last show. So I teach a class every Monday night, and I teach this class on Zoom, and I cut out so much during my class that I actually got bumped out of my own class, and then my students had to let me back in so I could come back in and finish teaching my class.
Somebody named Abe said, "Hey, Kimberly and Victoria," with a little heart, and Terry's on there. Mary Jean's on there. Yeah, we got a few people on there. That's good.
Yeah, that's nice.
Thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah. So one of the things we've been talking about is, the self-care. So for me, one of the things I teach people is the self-care includes mind, body, heart, and spirit. So one of the things I noticed that you keep leaving out heart, and I think it's this habit. A lot of people just do the mind, body, spirit connection, but we are being asked to bring our heart, our emotional body into absolutely everything we do. So we have a mental body, an emotional body, a physical body, and a spiritual body. So when we're talking about self-care, it is about learning how to care for and love all four of our intelligences, all four of those bodies that create the whole of who we are. And if we're out of balance and we're not taking care of all four bodies, then that is what creates dis-ease. As you were saying, that disease actually means dis-ease. It's being out of our natural state of ease. And in this reality we've been living in, the reality itself is a fear-based reality, which means that every single person on the planet essentially is in a fight, flight, or freeze mode. And the way to move out of that fear-based reality is to go inside your heart. And when you're inside your heart, you're no longer participating in that fear-based reality. And in this loving space within ourselves where we are connected with the love of the divine, then all of that fear and all of that anxiety just starts to dissipate and disappear. So what a lot of people do, and I've noticed, is they, like you were saying, the false ops, right? The world. I'm being reminded of something I remember hearing when I was a kid. It's round as your head. It's flat as your head. It's round as your head. It's flat as your head. I don't know if I remember that there was a whole skit about whether the planet was round or it was flat. I remember it was a comedy skit from when I was.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So that's a conversation that was created to distract us from the truth, the real truth, which is the truth of love that's within every single one of us. So all of these conversations are distractions. If you imagine that we as humanity are on this track, right? We're on I call it the light track. There's two different tracks running. There's the descension track and there's the ascension track. We're on this ascension track. All of those conversations are trying to get us off the ascension track and put us back on the descension track. So we have to not allow ourselves to be distracted.
Don't allow it
actually means distract, right? It's trying to take off our track and put us on their track. Let's not get distracted by all those other things. Now, one of the things that people tend to do is get focused on. They'll spend hours and hours and hours. And no, I didn't watch soap operas when I was a kid, Kimberly, because we were not allowed to watch television.
Okay. That's right. You were in the commune.
Until the 1980s.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't know it existed, but it did not exist in my home or in my community. So all those shows that the kids were watching in the 60s and 70s, I've never heard of most of them. And I've never seen them. So but this is that same kind of thing where it's created. Television was created to keep us externally focused and be obsessed with all this other stuff that's going on rather than going into that beautiful space within. And that beautiful space within is where all of the answers are. It's where all creation happens. And none of that stuff actually happens externally. It happens internally. So we need to go within ourselves and ask for the answers that we seek, and go within ourselves, and within ourselves is where we become the ones we've been waiting for. It's where we become the rescuers of our own reality. And so many people spend hours and hours and hours every day listening to one truther after another and not understanding some of the information that's coming into the truther community is and I can just say this from personal experience because I do have one-on-one private conversations with Charlie Ward. And he said He finds out afterwards that some of the information he's given is intentional to keep the dark side of the contrast confused. So it's really important that people understand when they're obsessing with all of the truth or community, a lot of it is false information intentionally.
To throw off. Yeah, I was kind of told that too, that they're doing it. When I asked my guides, why is it that I'm watching these videos and everything that they're saying isn't true? Like they'll say, oh, there's going to be an EBS, and oh, there's going to be this, and oh, there's going to be that. And then 8 years go by and nothing happens. And what my guides told me is because they were purposefully putting wrong information out there to confuse the dark side.
Absolutely.
So,
it keeps them on their toes.
Yeah, which is why I was told not to even bother watching it, because they said none of that information is factual or really going to happen. It's almost all propaganda that's being put out because there's a spiritual war going on both sides. And so, they'll put their info out, but then everybody who's on the side of the light is all, ooh, and they're listening to it and they're believing it, like, oh, the earth is flat and all this kind of stuff. And it's like,
right.
Yeah, they believe it. They just eat it up. They gobble it up. And it's because they have so much stress in their own life, and they're so traumatized that they can't see beyond their trauma. You know what I mean? It's like people are very, very stuck in a kind of like in a box of trauma right now, all over the world. Everyone, like everybody is just horribly traumatized. And if you think about that, an entire planet of traumatized people are really easy to manipulate.
Absolutely.
Really, really easy to manipulate your mind when you've been traumatized. How do you think they do MK Ultra? Let's see. They rape you over and over again, or they electrocute you, or they shock, they torture you, and they create a stress response over and over and over and over again, like the RSA, the ritual sexual abuse that goes on. And then eventually they're able to control you and mold you and do whatever they want to you because you have this continuous trauma thing going on.
Right.
What people are trying to do to all of us.
What people don't understand is it doesn't have to be that extreme. All they need to do is be fed fear-based beliefs every single day. That is why the media, the news only talks about negative stories.
It's brainwashing.
Only propagates fear. Right? Because it's that, and our movies, for the most part, only have violence and fear attached to them.
I think 90% or more of them.
Yeah, it keeps humanity stuck in that continual cycle of fear, of hyper adrenaline response. And it's again, it's interesting. I just did an episode with Akura a couple of days ago, and I still need to load it up. And we were talking about this same kind of thing, which is imagine that you are out in the safari and you're being chased by a lion. Well, when you're in that level of fear, the conscious mind cannot think clearly. So it's like you're in constant self-preservation mode. In this fear-based reality humanity is in, it is in constant self-preservation mode. It cannot think clearly. And the dark side of the contrast understands this. That's why they continually to use this one fear story after another, one war story after another. So we're always, until we consciously choose to pull ourselves out of it and go into that loving space within, humanity is constantly on a fear response. And when human beings are in fear response, they're easier to control.
Yep, that's been the last 3 years on the news with the programming about certain disease that everybody had. They got everybody so terrified and told them, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die if you don't put things into you. If you don't put things into your body that we tell you to put into your body, which haven't been tested or verified yet, you're going to die. And because that's literally what my family believes. They believe that they're going to die, I'm going to die. I got that thing, by the way. I had it at the end of July. I was sicker than a dog for 3 weeks. And for about a 2-year period, everybody around me was saying, if you get that thing, you're going to die. If you get that thing, you're going to die. They kept saying that over and over and over. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Oh, you mean they
take care of my body, mind, and spirit.
The illness?
Yeah, the illness.
Yeah,
the illness. They believe that if you get the illness, you're going to die. And the only thing that will prevent you from dying is this.
Right.
doing this.
And that
It's a
and that was
fear-driven
created,
thing. Mhm.
and we know that. We know that that was the entire narrative was created by the chemical industry, as I call it, because the chemical industry runs the entire planet. People don't realize that.
Mhm.
Everything on our entire planet is basically run by the chemical industry.
Yeah.
Right. And so I use that blanket because that includes the farming, and that includes the food, and it is run by the chemical
Yeah,
industry.
Monsanto, Dow, and the oil industry, pretty
It's
much.
not
But
but it's
mainly,
not
but not really the oil industry as
Monsanto
much.
anymore.
Mainly
Trust me, that.
Monsanto and Dow.
It's not Monsanto. Monsanto was bought by Bayer. They got wrapped into Bayer after they got sued, and because they got wrapped into Bayer because they got sued,
Okay.
it made it possible for them to disband the lawsuits. It's a sneaky little thing that those companies, I call them corporate empires. So our planet is run by a completely different kind of imperialism, and it's corporate imperialism. So there is all of that. And I think what's really important, if you recognize, before this particular scenario, it was another scenario. So there is always a war of some kind that's going on to keep humanity in this constant state of fear and self-preservation. So that happened to be a war on a particular virus. Before that, it was some other kind of war. It's like the war on drugs, the war on terrorism, there's always a war of some kind that keeps humanity stuck in this continual fear. Mm-hmm. And so what's really, really important for people to understand is that they can actually pull themselves out of that fear-based reality. So there's so many people who say, "Oh, I know, I'm awake. I'm out of the matrix." Well, if you're still living your life in fear, you're not out of the matrix. Or at least you might be above. You have pierced the veil, right? There's a veil of deception above the matrix, and then as you start moving up through the spiritual spiral, as I call it, you might have pierced the veil. Mm-hmm. So your awareness is no longer in that matrix, but the 99.9% of you is still there. You're still in fear. The body is still there. Your experiences are still there. Your family is still there. So you're still mostly, it's like doing spiritual splits. That's the reason I had to let my husband go, because I was doing spiritual splits, and it's really uncomfortable to keep doing it. So what happens for people is they might, they have their awakening experience and they pop up above the veil, which is still lower 4D. And lower 4D is where the dark entities are. It's where we do our shadow processing. It's where we have to do our spiritual work. It's all in 4D. And part of 4D is learning how to have a loving relationship with yourself. Nobody gets to 5D until they're in pure, absolute, unconditional love. And that includes pure, absolute, unconditional ourselves as well. Mm-hmm. This is about coming into this truth and coming into our heart space and understanding that part of this self-care and part of this self-love is turning off the television, is turning off social media, is not spending hours every day listening to the exposure community. It's another way of putting it.
The ET community, them too. They're distracting everybody with all that.
And I'm saying this as here we are as broadcasters. Turn off YouTube. Like, no, don't turn us off. Right?
Yeah. No, you need to
but be really careful where it is you expend your time and your energy, because time, most precious resource we have. You don't. I mean, money is a continual resource. All of the other resources that we have are renewable resources. Time is not a renewable resource. So use it as if it's the most precious thing you have. Use it consciously, lovingly, and only feed your mind, body, heart, and spirit what is going to nourish you and take care of you. Right? It's that how are you nourishing your mental body? How are you nourishing your spiritual body? How are you nourishing your physical body? How are you nourishing, mind, body, heart, and spirit? All four of your bodies. What are you doing every day to nourish that? And understand this avatar, this physical vessel that we chose, We chose this. It's kind of like, before we incarnated, it was like kind of like going to the grocery store, right? Oh, I want this color of hair, and I want this kind of eyes, and I want this kind of body, and I want to be born in this kind of family, and I want to learn these kinds of experiences. We chose this. And this beautiful vessel that we have that holds us, this carries my spirit. Love this. So what I do every day to love this divine being that we are, that is in this vessel that we have, how can we take better care of all of us, mentally, emotional, physical, and spiritual? That's what self-love is learning to love that divine being that we all are. And as we have that loving relationship with the divine being within, that is what extends outward, and that's how we change the world. By being that by rediscovering that light within, and then extending outward from that. And like you said, not waiting around for a savior. So people are, waiting around for what do you call a man in a white house, a man on a white horse, neither one of those, waiting for the med beds, waiting for Nasara Dasara, waiting for all these external things rather than doing the internal work that's necessary to call that forward, because that is actually a vibrational match for what it is that we are on the inside. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just got some kind of a warning from Facebook right as we're talking that they're going to shut my ass down because of some post that goes against their community standards. And it wasn't even about anything controversial or anything. It was just a spiritual post. It had nothing to do with health. It had nothing to do with politics. It had nothing to do with anything that they would be upset about. And they're saying this goes against our community standards. And I'm sitting here and going, where the hell did they even find this post? That's like a post from a long time ago, like a year or two ago, 3 years ago. They're like digging up my old posts and saying it goes against their community standards. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, other people have been experiencing that too. It's like well, I think I told you, I got a couple of those messages where they warned me that they were going to shut me down because of inspirational posts I put on my own private community. Mm-hmm. And it is, and I've talked to a couple of other people who've been experiencing that as well. And it's almost like an attack now on anything spiritual.
Yeah. So now they're going after anything that's uplifting or spiritual. I bet if I put on there praise Satan, praise Lucifer over and over again, they'd allow that all over the place.
Absolutely.
How much do you want to bet?
Yeah.
How much do you want to bet? Because anything that has to do with God or inspiration or spirit, they're against, because the satanic AI is all about Satan and Lucifer and glorifying them and not anything else.
Well, it's the last desperate attempt to keep humanity stuck in this fear-based reality. And the truth is that so many people are having spiritual awakenings and choosing the path of love and choosing the path of light, that they know they're losing. They know they're losing, and it's a last desperate attempt. But what they don't understand is they're shooting themselves in the foot. We know that.
Did you see the mainstream news yesterday that Zuck laid off 15,000 Facebook employees?
Yeah. No, I didn't read the story.
Yeah,
I just
said like 15,000. I didn't read the story. I just saw the headline. 15,000. Everybody's freaking out because 15,000 Facebook employees lost their jobs.
Yeah, this is
like, maybe it's the beginning of the end for all of them.
Well, it's because so many of us are leaving. Mm-hmm. So for a while, when Facebook was first created, it was created as a means for tracking people, for tracking people's habits, right? Yeah, and then it became about selling advertising. Mm-hmm. And so many people started selling advertising. But once they started censoring what people could and couldn't post, there are a lot of people who just said, screw Facebook, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And so they have been losing money. Mm-hmm. Since 2020, they have been losing viewers left and right.
Yeah.
And as soon as we can find a more loving replacement, we're all out of there. And they know that.
Yeah, we are. And I mean, everybody in my community and who follows me and all my friends, I know that they would leave in a heartbeat if they could. If there was another viable choice to go to. The problem is all of my friends who've gone to Truth Social have all had their accounts closed down on there too for posting stuff. There's
Yeah, well,
freedom of speech on Truth
I
Social.
had an account there, and I think I posted twice, and I was like,
I'm not posting on there at all because
no, I actually closed my account out because I think like I said, I posted on there twice, and then I just deleted the app because it again does not resonate with me.
Well, and you know what Maria Bernardi said?
To post false narratives. It's just we're in such an interesting time right now, Kimberly, where we're in between we're in between realities. Mm-hmm. And so in between these two realities, nothing is really real. Yep. The only thing that's real is love.
Yeah, that is the only thing that's real. In fact, I've had, let me say something. Maria Bernardi said that True Social, because she had her account shut down on there, she said it's basically a place for all the shills to go. She called it a concentration camp for the shills, is what she called it. True Social. That's what she called it. I love the way she looks at everything. Her and I are going to be doing another show together. They removed my video with her because, YouTube shut her whole channel down. And they hate her because she mentioned a certain place where they're having a WAR, and it starts with a U and the country with an R. Yeah. And so she mentioned it. So they shut down her YouTube channel. So I had her on mine, and all we talked about was Greece and the culture and the food and the religion and the spirituality and the archaeological sites. And they said it went against their community standards for medical misinformation. We didn't talk about anything medical. We didn't talk about those things. We didn't talk about the disease. We didn't talk about any of it. All we talked about was Greece. And they removed the video completely, and I sent in an appeal, and they shut my appeal down and said, nope, it still goes against our standards. And it's really just all about her because they don't want her on YouTube. So anyone who interviews her. And so her and I are going to do a video. We're both moved to Rumble. And just for everybody who's listening to this video, I think, Victoria, you have a Rumble channel, right?
I do. I don't really use it. I'm actually moving through Free TV to its own website.
Okay, because I'm migrating all my videos. I had 112 videos, and it takes me hours just to migrate a few videos over at a time because I have to go through my whole computer files and find them and then copy and paste info, and it just takes forever. So I've got literally 100 plus. Actually, I'm at about 100 videos right now that I need to keep transferring to my new Rumble channel. But for those of you that follow me, please follow me on Rumble because eventually I'm not going to be on YouTube because they're going to probably shut me down. So I'm trying to migrate everything over as quickly as possible. And my Rumble channel is called Spiritual Growth Journeys, just like my group just like my website, just like my group on Facebook, just like everything I do, just like my channel name on YouTube. It's all called Spiritual Growth Journeys, and you'll see my face there. But I'm on Rumble now, so please go there because I will be migrating everything over, and probably in this video that Victoria and I do, if she gives me a copy, that will go up on my Rumble as well because my boob tube will probably shut me down because of things that we're saying in here that they don't like. So
yeah. So what I'm going to be doing, and I might do Rumble as well. I have YouTube and I have NewTube and I have a bunch of other ones. We just had like one or two videos, but Rumble seems to be the one that is winning out, so to speak, from all of the other alternatives to YouTube. Huh. So I'll probably put some over there as well. I do have fearlessandfreetv.com and fearlessandfree.tv. So I own the domains, and I've bought the streaming service to be able to stream straight to Fearless and Free TV. When I get that all set up, again, it's a matter of finding a team member to help me with this, right? Because I could do it myself, but it is not the highest and best use of my time.
I know you wanted to keep this.
So what I will be doing then when that occurs is just posting like 5-minute samples, and then the rest of it will be on Fearless and Free TV. So I'll still be using YouTube, but more as a way of moving people who want to finish watching an episode to watch it someplace else. The way that I do with my Infinite Spirit Lift Sundays, what I do right now. So yeah, and that's just the reality we live in right now. Or the interesting concept of reality we live in, because we're in this transition phase between these two worlds. And so before we close out, because we have been on here for a whole hour, it's exactly about just reminding people that in this transition phase that we're in, to always go back to the loving. Don't allow yourself to get swayed by fear. Don't allow yourself to get pulled off track. Stay focused on the loving. Stay focused on being the love and being the light, and understanding we the people actually are the ones we've been waiting for. Stop waiting around for anybody else to do it. Stop focusing on what isn't happening. Stop focusing on the world we don't want. Stop complaining, because I got to tell you, complaining and gratitude cannot exist in the same. Either you're grateful for what's coming toward you, or you're complaining about what's not working. So focus on gratitude. Get out of complaining. Focus on the world we're creating, not on the world we don't want. Focus on love instead of fear. Always come back to the loving. And when we stay within that loving space inside ourselves, the only thing that's there is peace. So people ask me, how is it that you don't get ruffled by any of this? Well, because I'm always at peace within myself. Mm-hmm. Other people's stuff does not affect me.
Yep, you've done a lot of work though. You've done years and years and years of work on yourself, and it takes a while for people to get there. So just be nice to yourself and easy on yourself.
And what I'm letting people know is that is possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's possible when we take our focus off of everything else and take our focus within. And it's really, what's interesting is another play on words before we go is this idea of self-consciousness, right? Oh, that person's so self-conscious. But if we flip that script to understand, to be conscious of oneself is self-loving. To always be conscious of what is it that I'm putting forward, and what is it that I'm feeling, what is it that I'm thinking. Yeah. More self-conscious, self-aware, conscious of our experience. And, and come back space of conscious neutral observer, and that is one of the most difficult places to get to. But once you get there, it's a really extraordinary place to be, because you can sit in this beautiful space of calm even as the storm swirls around you, and nothing can take you from your center. It's like being an oak tree. It doesn't matter how crazy wild that storm blows at the oak tree, it still stays grounded. It still stays rooted, and it stands. It is unwavering. It is possible for human beings to get there too.
Absolutely. Before we go, I do want to share with everybody that I have tools. I'm not just going to sit here and tell you to do self-care and not tell you how. I actually have all the tools, because I'm a stress reduction expert, healer, health coach. And so my book, The Real Fountain of Youth, an Introduction to the Peace Stress Management System. This is an entire life makeover, life transformation, body, mind, spirit, and emotional, heart-centered healing book. And it will literally transform your life. That's on Amazon worldwide. And then I also have multiple classes on my website. If you go to spiritualgrowthjourneys.com to my classes, I've got meditation courses. I've got 2 of them on there. I've got a chakra balancing and healing course. I've got an energy medicine workshop where you can learn how to heal everyone and yourself. So I have all kinds of tools for the self-care and for the going within that I provide, because that's what I do. I empower people and teach people how to do the self-care, how to go within, how to connect to source. This is what I do for, a profession to help people. So, and as my service to humanity, teaching people how to do this stuff. So I have all the tools for you. So if you go off this video and you go, well, they didn't give us tools. Well, I have a whole, get the book. Get the book. You will have, in fact, people who've read this book. I've got 6 pages of testimonials from holistic doctors and chiropractors and naturopaths and everything. This was a best-selling book on Amazon. I published in 2016 originally. redid it a little recently and relaunched it. But everybody who's ever read this book said it totally changed their life. And they said that they reread it like 20 times over, and they bought copies for everyone in their family. This book doesn't have spiritual woo-woo kind of things in it. It has a little bit of that because I do talk about past life emotional stress and how that can affect your current life. But other than that, you could literally give this book to anybody in your life. I've given it to MD doctors and they liked it. In fact, I used to speak about this book at medical conferences, allopathic medical conferences all over the country. I would go and I would talk about this book at the conferences. So this is a whole body, mind, spirit healing program. It's a stress management system because 98% of illness is caused by emotional stresses in the world. So this book teaches you what to do about that. So we're not just going to come on here and say, oh, go do the self-care and just send you off on your merry way. I actually give you the help. That's what I do. So, check
Yeah, and thank you for that. So for what I have, as I said in the beginning of the show, I do have a free gift. It's not big and thick like yours, although it did take me a while to write. I do have a free book about happiness through self-love, and it does have some self-care tips in there. And then I also have my book, Transcending Fear. So for those of you who've been watching me for a while, you know that my purpose on the planet is teaching people how to rise above this fear-based reality. My book, Transcending Fear, is a book that I wrote was published in 2012. I have a new edition that's coming soon, as soon as the publisher finishes getting. But if you go to my website or you go to Amazon and you buy Transcending Fear, make sure you let me know. And I will send you the new 7th chapter for free once you purchase the existing book. And that book was written, it's all about, because people ask me all the time, how is it that you got to this place where you're so at peace? And I put it all in this book, Transcending Fear. So I have that book for people as well. It's a great gift to give people for the holidays coming up.
Yeah, both of our books are wonderful gifts. In my book, Ascension 101, for people who are waking up. The people who aren't awake can read my Fountain of Youth book. The people who are awake can read both my books, Ascension 101 and the other. And those make really good, cheap stocking stuffers. They're like $20. Victoria and I both provide everybody with all the tools. We have plenty of tools. So if you need tools, go to her website, go to my website, and you'll get all the tools you want. And I just really quick wanted to give a shout out to Angelic Healer, who's on here commenting. Thank you for those tips. She said about posting a little short video on YouTube to direct people to Rumble. Thank you for that tip. I'm going to have to go in and do that, make a little short video on YouTube saying, hey, I'm on Rumble now. So thank you for that tip, Angelic Healer. And then she said, being in the place of the observer is a message that she recently got from Zeus. She got that message from Zeus, who she said, by the way, is a throne angelic. Yes, I know he's a throne angelic, and he's also the ancestor of Yeshua. So that's in my book. I'm talking about that in my book, how Yeshua is a descendant of Zeus. So anyways, thank you, Angelic Healer, for your comments. We appreciate all you guys so much.
Yeah. And thank you all for being here on this 11/11. Make sure that you go out and really connect with this amazing energy of today. We can use the energy of today to call in this reality that we seek to create. And so whatever that means for you, there are so many 11/11 activations that are happening today around the world. There are conferences happening around the world. There are meditations happening around the world. So rather than sit and soak up all the truther stuff, find these. I know they're on Facebook. I've seen them. Maybe it's because I'm on the email list. So-and-so person is doing a meditation today. I think Unify is doing something for the entire day today for 11/11. The Ascension, Portal to Ascension is doing something this weekend. So rather than going outside and looking for information, go within and look for confirmation. And you can find that by participating in these meditation events, because they bring you home to the truth within yourself. So take advantage of this beautiful 1111 energy. And the number 11, before we go, just to let you all know, is like having windows open to the universe, right?
Portal.
Having the windows open. So you have all these windows open today to the universe. And in these windows, 11, 11, 22, 22, right? Those create a space. And with the windows open, it's a great place to let go of what no longer serves you. And it's also a great way to receive what does serve you. So remember that that's what this 1111 window is that it's letting go and it's also receiving. So let that be your energy today. Know that you deserve to receive all of the gifts of the universe. Every single one of us are divine beings, divine love, having a human experience. And God doesn't create junk.
Nope.
And every single one of us is worthy of everything our heart desires.
Absolutely.
Remember that,
Yeah.
especially today.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been on here for an hour and 11 minutes and 11. That's pretty funny.
Oh
11,
my goodness! This is 1 and 2.
I have a little clock at the top. It's 11:22.
Okay, perfect. Thank
So
you,
thank
everybody. We love you.
Thank you, Kimberly, for being here. As I always say, remember to hold your light so high others can't help but see their own light. Together, we are creating a world of peace, love, harmony, freedom, prosperity for all life on earth. And as always, get bold, be fearless, and live free.